afternoon and welcome to the COVID-19 update on Channels Television. I'm Millicent Nwaka. First, some of the highlights. Today, domestic flight operations resume in Akwa Ibom, Edo, Kwara and Kaduna states, among others, to join Lagos and Abuja airports after about 3 months of shutdown following the outbreak of COVID-19. House of Representatives urged President to reverse the decision of the Federal Ministry of Education withdrawing Nigeria from participating in WAEC and other similar examinations. And Hong Kong to impose strict new social distancing measures from today, the most stringent in the Asian financial hub since the coronavirus broke out. (36,616 cases have been confirmed after the Nigeria Center for Disease Control (NCDC) announced 463 new cases reported in 16 states and the Federal Capital Territory. Of the latest cases, Lagos has 128, Kwara 92, Enugu 39, Delta 33, Edo 29, Plateau 28, Kaduna 23, Oyo 15, Ogun 14, Osun 14, FCT 12, Ondo 9, Rivers 9, Abia 8, Bayelsa 5, Ekiti 3, and Borno State 2. The number of confirmed cases in Nigeria has continued to rise, with new cases driven largely by states that had before now recorded low infections, apart from Lagos, which remains the epicenter. So far, 13,792 cases have been discharged, 754 deaths have been recorded in 36 states and the FCT. The top 5 states in Nigeria with the most active cases are Lagos in the southwest with 10,601, the FCT in the north central with 1,838, Oyo is third with 855 cases, Delta 775, and Edo State managing 708 cases at its treatment centers. Now, about 3 months of shutdown following the outbreak of the coronavirus pandemic, flight operations have resumed in all airports across the country. According to the resumption schedule from the Ministry of Aviation, the airports in Akwa Ibom, Edo, Kwara and Kaduna, among others, are expected to reopen today. Last week, flight operations resumed at airports in Lagos, Abuja, Kano and Port Harcourt, as well as the Maiduguri and Owerri airports. In the meantime, the Minister of Aviation, Hadi Sirika, has given the assurance that rehabilitation work at the Kano Ibiam International Airport runway in Enugu will be completed August 30. According to the Minister, who was in Enugu to ascertain the level of work there, the work is currently 90% complete.
We are back on site, and we're here. Again, we have made tremendous amount of progress. What is left is about, I would say, we are about 90% to 95% completing this job. However, the final wearing course is where we are on the runway itself, while you could see the perimeter fence and road is going on, and other works to ensure that this airport, including airfield lighting, has been delivered for day and night operations and truly answers the name Kano Ibiam International Airport, Enugu. I'm happy to say that I'm very, very glad to see the progress of work, and I'm very happy at the rate at which they're going, and I'm very confident that this procurement will be delivered on the 30th of August 2020.
And according to data released by the NCDC, 18 local government areas have recorded very high cases of the spread of COVID-19, and the federal government is considering a lockdown, precision lockdown, in some of the local government areas to help curtail the spread. According to our correspondent in Kano, Turauni local government area in Kano State is amongst the local government areas with increased cases of COVID-19, and it is not the most populated in the metropolitan city. Kano has recorded 1,314 confirmed cases, 227 are on admission, and 1,035 have been discharged, and it has recorded 52 deaths. Professor Titus Ibekwe is an ENT consultant. He joins us from our Abuja studio. So I'd like to thank you for joining us on the program.
Thank you for having me.
All right, it's been a while. Let's start with what your thoughts are on as to the progression of the virus and tracking the virus with regards to the pharmaceutical or non-pharmaceutical measures to containing the spread across the country.
Yeah, and you know, the virus appears to be very fastidious, and new information keep on popping up on a daily basis. The latest now being the most recent release by the World Health Organization, which for every intent and purpose is highly suggestive that this virus could be transmitted via aerosol, which was unlike what has been debunked in the past. So this is very possible, and that even shows that it's even more transmissible than we were thinking earlier on, if this is proven to be. But the reality is that it's just a thin wall between what was known before and what is known now, because you talk of droplets, you talk of aerosol, is a spectrum. It's just larger particles that will lead to droplets, while smaller particles will be aerosolized. That means it can easily float in the air. But recent reports coming up is highly suggestive. More than 200 scientists signed a paper that was sent to World Health Organization that was laying credence that this is really very possible. And that is a red flag to each and every one of us, indeed to every Nigerian, that will have to up our games, ensure that you mask anywhere you're going to, avoid crowding, because these are situations that actually will promote the aerosolizing of this organism and the infection, all right? And so this is really very important. We must change our ways and be alive to the simple ABCD rules of NCDC towards keeping safe as far as this viral transmission is concerned. If we take a look at what is going on in our country today, you'll realize that the case incidences are on the rise on a daily basis. And this also supports what is already known, that community transmission is real within and around us. So prevention, 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 that's what will be recommended any day, anytime, because so far, no treatment, no vaccine, and more information is coming out regarding this virus, which is not in favor of the populace, especially this latest that is up right now. Initially, we used to think, yes, we talk of tuberculosis and related illnesses, and those are the ones that has been established to be transmitted via aerosol, including measles. But now we know that this is possible with COVID-19. You know, it can float depending on the environmental conditions. We know that temperature, humidity, and indeed the air current and the number of people present within an enclosure, that these are factors that could promote these particles to float and become aerosolized, which means it's becoming really very precarious.
Still talking about, Professor, if I may, still talking about what the WHO has eventually come to say. They've also been criticized with regards to leading this fight, the pandemic fight around the world, and that is with coming perhaps a little too late with some of these research that's coming up with regards to how countries can handle this. Do you think that, because we have a case, for example, the face mask, we don't have the WHO saying, okay, countries of the world, this is what you should do, you know, wear face masks because it will prevent all of this. So would you say that the WHO is a little slow in handling the pandemic and leading this pandemic fight?
Yeah, Millicent, I agree with you, but it's always good to look at a balanced perspective when you are considering any situation. Number one, it should be realized that this COVID-19 that we are talking of is relatively a new disease, which we can say is just a little over 7 months old, as far as the world is concerned. So a lot of information is still being processed regarding this. And nobody can come out to claim that he or she knows everything about this relatively new disease. But again, the somersault in policy that we're seeing from WHO, which is the apex body that everybody looks up to, one can say that it's not all that encouraging. WHO should also try to do more, promote researchers themselves, and work around the clock before making any pronouncement, to be very sure before coming out with that. So you realize that initially, as you rightly pointed out, it was debunked, the issue of being transmitted via aerosol was debunked to say that it's only through contact. At the time, it was said that environmental pollutions, physical, fomites and all those contacts, that it can be easily transmitted via that. And again, we got a new information when researchers further exposed more new information that, yeah, the chances of transmitting through these contacts, environmental things, is a little bit lower compared to what we thought before. And again, this new information has come out regarding transmission via aerosol, which I think is one of the most dangerous dimensions as far as this disease is concerned. So you wouldn't give all the kudos to WHO, but at the same time, given the fact that this is a relatively new disease, you won't want to give them a knockdown completely.
Finally, Professor, I must quickly ask you this, and this is as, our airports have become operational fully now. What advice or precautions should we take as domestic flights resume?
Yeah, I think caution, again, is very important here. And each and every one of us should be alive to our responsibilities, including the the airline operators. It shouldn't be a case of trying to maximize profit. Life should be put ahead of gains or any other primordial things that we're going to get through this means. We know that it's not a very good business for them because it's expected that they should not be carrying full capacity, so that we'll have at least some level of distancing even within the aircraft. But more responsibilities even lie on the commuters, those who are making use of the airport and the aircraft, to obey these simple rules, ensure that you go by the physical distancing, the cleansing mechanisms that are present in the airport. Let not unnecessarily throw our weight around to insist that we must make this flight if we are told that it has taken up to the capacity, in order to ensure that we obey these rules and regulations that will maintain safety.
We'd like to thank you.
Lives of each and every one of us.
It's always a pleasure to have you on the program, Professor Titus Ibekwe, ENT consultant. Thank you for joining us on the program.
Thank you very much.
Lawmakers in the House of Representatives are asking President Buhari to direct the Ministry of Education ensure that students in unity schools participate in this year's WAEC examinations. The decision of the House is coming on the heels of a pronouncement by the Minister of Education that no Nigerian school would participate in the senior secondary school certificate examinations earlier scheduled to hold from August the 3rd to September the 5th.
The directive by the Federal Ministry of Education to public schools to boycott the senior school certificate examination scheduled to commence from the 3rd of August has caught the attention of the House of Representatives. It was raised as a matter of urgent public importance by Representative Naji Nnoli, and according to him, that decision was not well thought out.
Worried that Nigerians' non-participation in the year's examination portends serious psychological, socio-economic, and health effects on the students as well as the already overburdened parents and guardians. Also worried that the negative and cumulative effects of the government action in seeking to withdraw Nigerian students from the examination will be devastating on our educational system and Nigeria's economy at large.
The West African Examination Council is the body which determines the examinations required in the English-speaking West African countries, which include Ghana, Nigeria, Sierra Leone, Liberia, and the Gambia, for award of the junior and senior secondary school certificates. While the Ministry of Education insists that it is not prepared to risk the lives of Nigerian students during the COVID-19 pandemic, The House fears that it could portray a negative image for the country.
Also worried that this sudden policy reversal is and will be detrimental and create further confusion and uncertainty in the educational sector, as well as frustrate the students' lifelong ambition and send wrong signals to stakeholders and investors.
The examinations were initially scheduled to commence on the 5th of April this year, but postponed to the 3rd of August due to the COVID-19 pandemic. The House also resolves to urge the Ministry of Education to implement the national safety protocols on COVID-19 to ensure safety of students during the examination. Terry Ikumi, Channels Television News.
We'll take a closer look at the issues arising out of that report you just watched. We have a public health physician who joins us when we return after this break. Welcome back. The Benue State government has expressed its readiness to participate in this year's WAEC, West African Examination Council, if the Federal Ministry of Education complies with the House of Representatives resolution to go ahead with the examinations in spite of the COVID-19 concerns. The Executive Secretary of the Benue State Teaching Service Board, Honorable Frank Kyogun, disclosed this while speaking to Channels Television on preparations for the examinations amidst the COVID-19 concerns, noting that all the schools have been decontaminated and strict adherence to safety protocol would top its arrangement if schools are allowed to resume. Let's go over to Bayelsa State, where our correspondent Dobra Timiwood brings us this update.
The Bayelsa State government has reaffirmed its decision that every resident of the state must always wear a face mask in public. They say this is due to the body of evidence from the World Health Organization that indicates that the coronavirus may be airborne. We spoke with the Director of Public Health in the state, and he expresses reasons why everyone in the state must wear a face mask, as he believes using the face mask is even now more important than even social distancing.
Yes, those protocols still remain, because now it's in addition to what we used to know. The airborne is now being added to the droplets. It still happens with droplets. It still happens with touching contaminated surfaces. So you still need to do all of those measures, washing of hands, respiratory hygiene, social distancing, and all of that.
He also says he stands with the federal government in their stance that the WAEC exams shouldn't hold, as he believes it will be a fertile ground for the transmission of the coronavirus.
We need to put health first. We need to be healthy. We just need some time for this wave to die down, and all of those things we can reconvene and write all of those exams. But health is also important. And if now the body of evidence is saying there are still new infections in most of our big cities, we are still posting a lot of new infections, the possibility of the risk of spreading it, the exposure is still there. So we need to take all precautions. We need to err on the side of caution. And so I go with the position of the Nigerian government. That is the truth.
The number of persons infected by the coronavirus in Bayelsa State is still on the increase. The state recorded 5 new cases today. From Yenagua, Dobra Timiwood for COVID-19 updates.
Dr. Rike Ogunride is a public health physician. She joins us here in the studio. Thank you for joining us on the program.
Always a pleasure.
All right, let's start with what we're hearing. The House of Representatives saying that perhaps they should allow students write their WAEC, you know, looking at where they are, some of the psychological effects, it might be behind their mates. But looking at the virus pattern in Nigeria, do you think it's safe? I mean, we on the other hand, there is the guidelines for, of course, safe reopening of schools, but then the federal government has come up with that, saying unity schools, all schools, no schools should take part in that. But is it safe in any way?
Okay. I think we need to go back memory lane and look at the statistics, look at the number of cases that we've been recording. With the last result, we had over 400 new cases. Now, if we're asking the students to go back to school, in unity schools, I've been to unity schools, I've been there to give health talks, and I know the crowd in the class. I know how the children behave. Now, in the midst of elderly people like yourself and myself, we've not been able to curb the virus, despite, you know, the social distancing, the use of face masks, which people really have not adhered to. So, are we saying that these children would be able to comply with putting on a face mask, writing an exam of 1 hour to 2 hours?
Some could argue that, you know, final year students are just, you know, 1/10, a bit of a fraction in terms of, you know.
Fine. That means we're looking at probably putting not more than 10 pupils or students in a class. Fine. But at the end of, you know, being in the school environment is not just the exam period where they'll be seated to write exams. No, they're going to have breaks in between. They're going to have moments where they're going to leave the school premises. Are they going to observe social distancing? Now, it's because they haven't been together. They haven't been seeing one another. So we're able to maintain some form of decorum in that age bracket. But if we bring them to schools, are we able to monitor them from the moment they're coming from their homes to the school environment to within the school before they enter into the halls for exam? Those are things that needs to be considered.
But if we look at the fact that this is the new normal and the virus is staying with us for quite some time until we have a vaccine or better treatment, are you saying that perhaps they're not going to be able to write their exams? What if this continues till...
I'll pose another question to you. If we're to lose a pupil or a student as a result of COVID-19 contracted in the school, if we're elsewhere and the school was sued, which would have more gravity? The fact that the child lost maybe a couple of months behind schedule, or we lost the life of a student. Now, the truth is that people are dying from COVID-19. Fortunately, it's not so bad, okay? But we're losing people in every age bracket. So it's a concern for me as a public health physician if we're bringing children back into school. I'm hoping that if we're able to curtail, you know, the virus, give it a little more time. And let's see if we're able to at least flatten this curve. If we're able to flatten the curve, then we know that, okay, the rate at which the disease is spreading has been reduced in the community. And then everybody is more at home, you know, with social distancing, use of face masks, children coming back to school, yes. But I think a little more patience. There's no hurry about it, my own opinion.
All right, we appreciate your time. Thank you so much, Dr. Riko Gurunde, public health physician. Thank you for joining us.
Always a pleasure.
Now, public health experts say a third wave of infection is now hitting Hong Kong. It is the worst seen so far and is much more worrying than an outbreak earlier this year. Meanwhile, US biotech firm Moderna says it will enter the final stage of human trials for its COVID-19 vaccine on the 27th of July. The company aims to enroll 30,000 people in its clinical trial, with participants receiving either the vaccine or a placebo. Now, from the NCDC, do not use a face shield without a face mask. It says a face shield alone cannot prevent the spread of infectious diseases. You can take a closer look at their website. It has regular updates on the COVID-19 regulations. You can also find the guidelines for school resumption on the NCDC website. It's a 52-page document, guidelines for school and learning facilities reopening after the pandemic closures. The World Health Organization also gives you an update with regard to the virus across the globe. And of course, our website, channelstv.com. You can take a closer look at some of the stories coming in from Nigeria, Africa, and the rest of the world, all at your fingertips. That is channelstv.com. That's the COVID-19 update at this time. Thank you for watching. I'm Millicent Nwaka. Stay safe.